You ever get to that point in your life where you're not even mad anymore, just tired? That's where I was. My name's Eric. I'm 36, live out here in Overland Park, Kansas. Decent neighborhood, nothing fancy. I've been working HVAC for over a decade. I'm not a flashy guy. I don't post gym selfies, I don't drive a Corvette, and I sure as hell don't go around pretending to be something I'm not. I met Chelsea about 9 years ago. Back then, she was sharp, worked as a paralegal downtown, had that driven energy. I like that about her. We got married 2 years in. She left her job when we were trying for a kid. That didn't work out, and somewhere along the way, she just stopped being her. Or maybe I stopped being the version of me she respected. Hell if I know. Anyway, I was still the same guy. Up at 5:45 every morning, pack a lunch, coffee to go, and on the road by 6:30. You know how Kansas weather gets. One day it's 40 and the next it's 90. I'm crawling around attics, under houses, lifting compressors, sweating through my clothes, every damn day. I came home dirty, tired, but always trying to be present. I let the dog out, throw some chicken on the skillet, or make spaghetti. Chelsea didn't really cook anymore. Said it wasn't her passion. Most nights she was on her phone, TikTok, Instagram Reels, some influencer nonsense. She followed these women who posted about their soft life, basically doing nothing while expecting everything. I started noticing the change. Her tone got sharper. She stopped looking at me when I talked. No hugs, no kisses, no affection unless it was in front of her family or at church. There was all fake smiles and hand-holding like we were some Pinterest couple. But I held it together because I loved her and because I thought marriage was supposed to be hard sometimes. I thought maybe she was just going through something. I mean, we've been trying to have kids, and that weighs heavy. So I stayed patient. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just waited, hoping it would get better. Then came the day it all shifted. It was a Saturday afternoon, mid-June, hot as hell outside, so I was inside working on the ceiling fan in the spare room. She came storming in, complaining about money again. Said we never did anything luxurious, that her friends were planning a trip to Cabo, and she wanted to go. I looked up at her, sweaty, holding a screwdriver in my hand, and said, "Chels, we still got to get the roof fixed. That leak by the chimney's only getting worse." She didn't like that answer. She crossed her arms and said, "You never want to do anything fun. You're always talking about bills like some broke old man." And that hit me sideways, man. I wasn't mad about her wanting a trip. I was mad that she looked at me, the man who paid every bill in that house, who never missed a beat, and saw a joke. So I stood up and said, "I'm not trying to be boring. I'm trying to make sure we're not drowning in debt next year." She rolled her eyes, grabbed her keys, and as she walked toward the door, she spun around and yelled, loud enough for the neighbors to probably hear, "No one will ever want you, Eric. Look at you. You're basic." Then she slammed the door, and I just stood there, fan blades spinning above me, screwdriver still in hand, stomach turning. And you know what? I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even call her. I just sat down on the edge of the guest bed and stared at the floor for about 10 minutes, dead quiet. You ever realize you're done without saying a word? That was it for me. The next few days were weird. She stayed out late, said she was at Megan's place, her friend who never really liked me. I didn't push. I didn't text. I came home, took care of the dog, made dinner for one, watched SportsCenter, and slept on my side of the bed like I had been for months. But inside, I was rebuilding. I hit the gym the next morning at 6 a.m. Planet Fitness, just 5 minutes away. I dusted off the shoes I hadn't worn since 2021. I didn't do it to look good for anyone else. I just needed something to focus on that wasn't her voice echoing in my head. That whole week I was quiet but not weak. I stopped engaging. No small talk, no "how was your day?" I treated her like a roommate who paid no rent. That house, I paid for everything. The car she drove, my name on the title. The groceries, the power bill, the insurance, all me. And yet, I was the one she called worthless. It was a Thursday when I finally saw her again, really looked at her. She came back from God knows where, walking into the kitchen in a $300 matching set she probably bought with my debit card, sunglasses still on like she was some celebrity. She glanced at me and said, "I'm going to Chicago next month with the girls. FYI. I looked up from my coffee and said, "Cool. Book your own ticket. She blinked like I slapped her. Excuse me. I said, if you want to go, pay for yourself. I'm not your wallet. She scoffed, muttered something under her breath, and walked off. But she knew something was different. I wasn't begging anymore. I wasn't reacting. I wasn't there to argue. I was done playing the loyal dog while she stepped on my neck. What she didn't know was that I'd already gone to the bank, opened a separate checking account, transferred most of my pay, canceled her authorized user access on my cards. I wasn't being petty. I was being strategic. I was done financing disrespect. And the cherry on top? That Sunday, I went to grab a bite at the grocery store deli. Ran into Alyssa, Chelsea's cousin. Younger than her, way more grounded. She was in scrubs, hair tied up, grabbing orange juice and frozen waffles. We laughed when we bumped carts, said we hadn't seen each other in forever. And something in her eyes, it wasn't pity. It was warmth. Real, human warmth I hadn't felt in ages. We stood in the parking lot talking for almost an hour. Nothing crazy, just two people being seen again. And in that moment, I thought about Chelsea's words, "No one will ever want you." And for the first time in years, I smiled to myself and thought, she was wrong. After that blowout with Chelsea, the one where she basically screamed in my face that I was unwanted, something inside me just shut off, like someone flipped a switch. I didn't cry. I didn't throw a tantrum. I didn't go tell my buddies what she said. I just sat with it. And then I started moving different. Monday morning came, and instead of hitting snooze, I got up before the alarm even rang. Threw on a pair of old basketball shorts, laced up my sneakers, and hit Planet Fitness at 6 a.m. It had been a while. I'd been so caught up in paying bills, keeping the house standing, trying to hold together a marriage that felt like a damn performance. But now, I was done playing the husband who begged for affection. That first day back at the gym wasn't glamorous. I was huffing through cardio like I'd never stepped on a treadmill in my life. My legs felt like bricks, and I could barely finish a set on the bench. But I wasn't there to impress anybody. I was there to feel like me again. After the workout, I grabbed a protein bar and headed to work. HVAC life isn't pretty. It's hot, dusty, full of tight crawl spaces and busted knuckles. But at least when I was under a house or fixing someone's AC unit in the middle of the Kansas summer, I didn't feel like a burden. I felt useful. That week, I stayed quiet. Chelsea was barely around. She'd come and go like a guest. No check-ins, no "how was your day?" Nothing. She had this smug energy, like she expected me to fall apart. But every time she walked past me in the hallway, I could see the confusion building. I wasn't chasing. I wasn't asking. I was detached. Wednesday night, I got home around 6. Took a quick shower, made myself a basic dinner, grilled chicken, mashed potatoes, some frozen peas, and sat down to eat. That's when I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Hey, it's Alyssa. Ran into you the other day at Hy-Vee. It was good seeing you. Hope you're doing okay." I smiled without even thinking about it. Alyssa, man, she was always different. Chelsea's cousin, but not part of that whole drama pack friend group. Alyssa was a nurse assistant over at Advent Health, always working double shifts, always polite. Whenever we had family events, she was the only one who talked to me like I mattered. Not as Chelsea's plus one, just as Eric. I texted back something simple. "Yeah, it was really good seeing you too. Been a rough couple weeks, but I'm managing." She responded right away. "If you ever want to talk or grab coffee, I'm around." Now, I wasn't trying to jump into anything. That's not who I am. But it felt good. Like someone actually gave a damn about how I was doing. Not because they wanted something, just because they cared. Friday night rolled around, and I figured, what the hell? I texted Alyssa and asked if she wanted to grab a bite. Nothing fancy. We met at the Peanut down on Santa Fe Drive. It's this small bar, kind of run down but cozy. Cheap burgers, cold beer, solid fries. The kind of place where nobody judges your work boots or gives a damn if your shirt's got drywall dust on it. When I walked in, she was already at the booth, sipping iced tea. No filters, no lashes, no loud perfume. Just her, natural, real, comfortable in her own skin. We talked for 2.5 hours. About everything. Work, family, what we thought life would look like by now. She didn't ask for gossip, didn't prod about Chelsea. She just listened. And when I finally did open up about what I've been dealing with, she didn't flinch. "You didn't deserve that," she said, eyes locked on mine. I've seen how she talks to you. Honestly, it used to make me sick. But I figured, not my place. That sentence stuck with me. It wasn't her place, but now it kind of was. Over the next few days, we kept texting. Quick stuff, memes, random thoughts, little hope your day's going okay messages. But it felt easy. And for the first time in years, I started looking forward to something that wasn't just bedtime or payday. Chelsea still hadn't noticed. She was gone half the time. Said she was staying at Megan's because she needed clarity. What she really needed was an audience that told her she was a queen while she left me hanging in silence. The funny thing is, I wasn't doing anything shady. We were practically separated, though we hadn't called it that out loud. We hadn't touched in weeks, hadn't shared a real conversation in even longer. If I were to get technical about it, Kansas is a no-fault divorce state. Legally, I didn't need a lawyer to tell me I was free to move forward emotionally. By the next week, Alyssa and I had made plans to catch a movie, that new Denzel flick at the AMC on 135th. We grabbed dinner first, some street tacos from a little spot near 87th Street. It was the kind of night that wasn't flashy, but felt full. Not forced. Not awkward. After the movie, I walked her to her car. We sat inside, talking with the engine running and the AC blowing, and she looked at me, really looked at me, and said, "You seem lighter. Like, you're not carrying everything anymore." I didn't realize it until that moment, but she was right. I wasn't weighed down. I was finally breathing again. She leaned over and kissed me. Soft, unhurried, intentional. And I didn't hesitate, because in that moment, I knew I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't running. I wasn't rebounding. I was just being wanted, being seen. And here's the thing, I didn't plan for any of this. I didn't set out to date Chelsea's cousin or get revenge or prove a point. But life, man, sometimes it just lines up the pieces and lets you play the game your own way. By the time I pulled into my driveway that night, Chelsea was back, sitting on the couch like she lived there full time, even though she hadn't been home all week. She looked up from her phone and asked, "Where were you?" I just replied, "Out." She squinted. "With who?" I didn't answer. I walked into the kitchen, opened the fridge, grabbed a bottle of water, and took a long drink before walking past her like she was invisible. Because that's what she made me feel like for the last 2 years. Now it was her turn. I didn't need to explain anything. I wasn't hiding. I just didn't know her my piece anymore. Look, I didn't set out to get even. I didn't wake up one day and think, you know what? I'm going to date her cousin and rub it in her face. That's not who I am. I'm not into drama. I don't have time for games. I'm a man who shows up, pays his bills, stays loyal. And maybe that's exactly why she thought I was some doormat she could walk all over without consequences. But here's the thing about people like Chelsea. They only realize the value of what they had when it's already packing its bags and walking out the front door. So after that night with Alyssa, that quiet night when she kissed me in her car, when I felt more respected in 30 minutes than I had in the last 3 years of my marriage, something inside me locked into place. Not out of anger, not even out of pride. It was peace. I wasn't looking to fight anymore. I was done begging to be loved. The next morning, I got up early like I always did. Went to the gym, came back, made scrambled eggs, toast, and some turkey bacon. Chelsea was still sleeping. I think part of her assumed I'd come home late to send a message, and then would be desperate to fix things. She didn't get it yet. The fire was already out. She woke up around 11, walked into the kitchen, looked at my plate, and said, "Didn't make me any?" I took a bite of my toast and said, "Didn't know we were on speaking terms." She stared at me, like she couldn't figure out what was different. My tone, my face, the way I wasn't trying anymore. Later that afternoon, I took my truck out and picked up Alyssa. We didn't go far, just drove out to Shawnee Mission Park, grabbed some iced coffees, walked around the lake with her dog. It wasn't some romantic gesture. It was just normal, natural, and that's what made it so powerful. No awkward tension, no one trying to impress the other, just quiet comfort. When I dropped her off, she touched my hand and said, "You don't owe anyone an explanation. You know that, right?" I nodded, but I also knew reality was going to catch up eventually. And it did. 3 days later, I got a phone call from Megan, Chelsea's friend. Now, I hadn't spoken to Megan in probably 6 months, and let me tell you, I never liked her. Always had this fake smile, always whispering garbage into Chelsea's ear. But this time, her voice was shaky. She goes, Eric, I think you should know Chelsea saw a picture on Facebook of you and Alyssa at the lake. She's freaking out. I paused, then said, okay. She stumbled for a second. I mean, she said you're being disgusting and that dating her cousin is a betrayal. I couldn't help but laugh. Not even a bitter laugh, a real one. And I said, you can let her know we've been emotionally done for months. She just didn't notice because she was too busy acting like I didn't exist. Click. She hung up. I knew that would make its way back to Chelsea. Sure enough, that evening when I got home, she was pacing in the driveway, arms crossed like she was gearing up for a courtroom battle. You're disgusting, she snapped. How dare you sleep with my cousin? I parked the truck, got out, and calmly said, I'm not going to have this conversation like this. She stepped forward. You're not even divorced. I looked her dead in the eye and said, and you weren't even married emotionally for the last year. So don't pretend you care about technicalities now. She went quiet. That hit, because it was true, and she knew it. I walked past her and into the house. A few minutes later, she followed. Tried yelling some more. Said I was embarrassing her. Said her family would never forgive me. That I looked like a creep. I turned to her and calmly said, you told me no one would ever want me. I'm just proving you wrong. That was the last real conversation we had. That same week, I filed for uncontested divorce. Didn't ask for alimony. Didn't want the house. I just wanted out clean. She tried to play victim for a while, texting her family, spinning the narrative, saying I was mentally unstable, that I was going through a midlife breakdown. But something unexpected happened. Her family didn't buy it. Alyssa told me later that her aunt, Chelsea's mom, said, honestly, I'm glad Eric's finally moving on. Chelsea's been impossible the last few years. The tide was turning. Then came the July 4th family barbecue. Now, I wasn't planning on showing up. I figured it would be awkward, especially since technically I wasn't family anymore. But Alyssa asked me to come. Said she didn't want to hide. Said it was time people saw the truth with their own eyes. So I went. And let me tell you, the look on Chelsea's face when she saw us walking together, holding hands, laughing, looking relaxed, you'd think she saw a ghost. She was sitting with her sisters, holding a solo cup like she was queen of the picnic. When she spotted us, she froze. Her jaw clenched. Her grip on that cup tightened like she wanted to crush it. But here's what I'll never forget. Nobody ran to her. Nobody gasped. Nobody made it awkward. A few of her own cousins came up to me and said, good to see you, man. Glad you're doing okay. One of her uncles clapped me on the back and joked, never thought I'd see the day Chelsea got replaced by someone smarter in the same family. Brutal, but not untrue. Chelsea didn't say a word to us that day. She left early, probably embarrassed, probably angry. But me? I felt like I could finally breathe again. 3 weeks later, the divorce papers were finalized. I moved into a new apartment on the other side of town. Small but peaceful. Alyssa helped decorate. We built a little Sunday routine, coffee, farmer's market, some yard sales. The kind of stuff Chelsea would have rolled her eyes at. And guess what? I was happy. Genuinely. Quietly. Finally. Then, about 2 months later, I got a text from Chelsea. One line. Do you ever think about us? I stared at it for a second. Then I hit delete. Because here's the truth, no, I don't. Not in the way she means. I think about who I was during those years. How small I let myself become. How many times I tried to win someone who never even showed up to the game. But I don't miss her. I don't want her back. And I sure as hell don't owe her a response. She said no one would ever want me. Turns out, she just didn't know what real value looked like. But Alyssa did. And that's all that matters.